a judge has found enough probable cause to hold Pam Bondi, Tom Holman, Stephen Miller, and the ringleader Donald Trump on criminal contempt of court.
Judge says there is probable cause to hold the Trump administration in contempt. This is in regards to the case of deporting Venezuelan migrants, despite that judge's order in his court to turn the plane around. CNN chief legal correspondent Paula Reed joins me now. Paula, what exactly is the judge saying?
Look, Dana, this is huge. We've been waiting for this opinion. Now, the judge here is still deciding punishment and the next steps. He is giving the Justice Department a chance to weigh in here. But this case, this question has, as you know, become a political flashpoint. President Trump has repeatedly attacked this judge, James Boasberg, even calling for him to be impeached. Now, much of this started last month. On March 15th, the president had invoked the Aliens Enemies Act to facilitate a deportation of Venezuelan migrants the government alleges were affiliated with a gang. Litigation commenced over the weekend, and these planes that were already carrying migrants were eventually grounded. But then when the judge ordered these to be flown back to the United States, they continued from Honduras, where they had stopped, onto El Salvador. Now, the judge has suggested that this was a deliberate attempt to defy his order. But Justice Department lawyers and sources I've spoken with disagree. They believe that a district court judge did not have jurisdiction over the acts of the administration once they're in international territory. Now, I want to read some quotes from this opinion. The judge says, as this opinion will detail, the court ultimately determines that the government's actions on that day demonstrate a willful disregard for its order, sufficient for the court to conclude that probable cause exists to find the government in criminal contempt. The court does not reach such a conclusion lightly or hastily. Indeed, it has given defendants ample opportunity to rectify or explain their actions. None of their responses has been satisfactory. The Constitution does not tolerate willful disobedience of judicial orders, especially by officials of a coordinate branch who have sworn an oath to uphold it. Now, there is a little chance that the Justice Department is going to deviate from its belief that, again, district court judges cannot dictate what they do once they are in either international skies or on the ground, which is what happened here. These planes landed in Honduras. But this is notable because here you have a federal judge holding the administration in contempt, as for several months, Dana, we've been talking about concerns about whether the administration would at any point intentionally defy a court order.
Really remarkable stuff. Paula, thank you so much for breaking that down for us. My panel is back with us. And Jeff Zeleny, I know this just happened, I don't know, a few minutes ago. Are you hearing anything yet from Trump sources?
Not yet from the White House officially. They likely are waiting for the Department of Justice to respond. But look, this is something that the White House has made clear. The president has made it clear, certainly people who work around him, their view of Judge Boasberg, who we should point out was elevated by President Obama, but was initially appointed by George W. Bush. He's viewed as a straight shooter. He has a lot of conservative friends and allies as well, including some on the Supreme Court, his college roommates, etc. So, look, I think that this is the question here, it seems to be, and this is a 46-page ruling, as we just were looking through it. Is there jurisdiction here for him to act, because it was moved to a Texas court, but Judge Boasberg is saying that there clearly is in his mind. So I think that this is going to be one more example of the White House pushing back at judges. We've heard what they've said about Judge Boasberg. The president has been very sharply critical of him without really knowing his true body of work, I think.
Or caring. Just more to what is underneath all of this, and that is just a reminder that there were planes that left for El Salvador, and this was after Judge Boasberg said, no, you have to wait, they can't go. And then they went anyway. The dispute is whether or not the planes were already in the air, and if they were, whether or not a federal judge has jurisdiction to turn them around if they're over international waters. The Trump administration argues, no, they don't. This judge is not buying that. He says that the government's actions on that day demonstrate a willful disregard for its order, sufficient for the court to conclude that probable cause exists to find the government in criminal contempt. It is lengthy, but one of the things he did say in here that he's offended that the Trump administration or people inside the DOJ seem to be, quote unquote, joking about this.
Look, we are not even 100 days into this administration, but it has been clear from pretty much the beginning that we were in a situation where the White House and the courts are on a collision course, and it's going on a bunch of things we were talking about earlier in the program, where this man who's in El Salvador, there's a court order to bring him back, and the Trump administration has interpreted that to say, well, if he gets back, then we would take him in, but then we deport him again. They are finding legal ways through a lot of these things so far. We don't know what will happen as these challenges keep on going. It's, by the way, also with what's happening with press access in the White House. The White House was sued by the Associated Press for keeping them out of the press pool. They fought it in court. They lost there's an injunction that said that they had to let the Associated Press back into the pool. Yesterday, what did they do? They decided, actually, we're just going to get rid of that spot entirely. That is a legal way around the decision. The question that I think we are getting to more and more immediately is what happens if and when there is a court decision that is pretty direct against what the Trump White House wants or the president wants, and does he then say no directly instead of finding these so far legal ways?
Yeah. And listen, the president in the past has said he would follow court orders. I think at this point he is, he and his team are finding all sorts of loopholes to defy court orders. But this is also a president who finds all sorts of loopholes. Like he seems to suggest there's a loophole in whether or not he can run for a third term. And so I think it is likely that we will have a president who sees his power as something that should be expanded. That's what he's doing. He's going after Harvard. He's going after Columbia. He's a president who thinks he should have his hand in many areas, including, obviously, immigration, no matter what the court says.
And it's criminal contempt. Mm-hmm. That's what this is. And the judge writes this: the court does not reach such a conclusion lightly or hastily. Indeed, it's given defendants ample opportunity to rectify or explain their actions. So criminal contempt